is burn love, burning through conversations, trying to ash out common sense. This is burn love, burning through conversations, trying to ash out common sense. This is burn love.
Burn live, y'all. We're burning through conversation, trying to ask y'all some common sense. Welcome to another show. This is the Friday edition of the Burn Live show. And we talk through politics, we talk through news, and we break it down every day on Fridays about politics. And then check me out on Good Night Capiche late nights every Friday. It's going down. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start off with a story that just broke out in Chicago with the finances and the federal aids. I think this was a very important little detail to get into, so I'm not going to waste nobody's time, and we're going to get right into this news, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson wants you to know that he is doing a great job. In fact, he's decided to bypass traditional media altogether and head straight to the live stream crowd, appearing with a self-described Marxist influencer who's got millions of followers online. The mayor also wants you to know something else. It is not his fault that his ultra-progressive agenda is struggling. According to Johnson, the problem is the Democrat establishment, wealthy donors, capitalism, everybody but him. The list goes on and on. But don't worry, help is on the way. Johnson says he's building a coalition with some of the most liberal mayors in America.
Right now, we are in the process of we're forming sort of a mayor's coalition, much like district and state's attorneys have formed to fight back against federal overreach. He expressed a desire and commitment to work with the city of Chicago, Boston. We have Seattle on board. We have Oakland, Mayor Lee, Mayor Bass, and Los Angeles as well.
So federal overreach, he says, is the real problem. He's going to collaborate with all these extremely uber liberal mayors, Charles, to try to fix everything that the federal government has done wrong to his constituents.
Sometimes you think that old saying, out of the fire into the frying pan, whatever. I don't know if they need to bring the last one back. I mean, they both are awful. Just the excuses. You live in the most amazing country in the world. We're just, our story, the American story, and it keeps going on and on and on. It's so beautiful. And essentially what you're saying is, sit it out. Don't participate in it. It's unfair. It doesn't want you to participate. We'll find a different way. And there's no socialist story even close to this. And so you can gather a whole bunch of other broken cities and towns and think you can cobble it together and do something in a coalition. But the only people who do well in these socialist societies are the elites, their own elites. And they're the substitute for quote unquote capitalists, right? And
right.
Except there's it's a smaller pool of people, but they have more wealth and more power than even the richest people in a capitalist society do. It's less fair than capitalism is or has been. I don't care how it sounds when you.
Now, when you heard that, you be like, capiche. I don't get it. Why did you bring that up? I bring that up to bring you this story so we can cover. Now listen to this.
The Board of Education here in Chicago pressing the media for answers about a leaked story today.
Yeah, Fox Chicago received a legal letter this morning as part of that investigation, and Paris is here with what's happening. Interesting, Paris.
Very interesting, Sylvia and Terrence, now involving members of the media in an internal investigation. And this morning, I received an email at my Fox Chicago inbox from the law firm Salvatore Prescott Porter & Porter. This is a law firm retained by the Chicago Board of Education as board president.
Chicago Board of Education used to be run by Brandon Johnson. So this has ties to Brandon Johnson, okay?
President Sean Hardin has sought to find alleged leakers on the board who he thinks leaked to members of the media, including me. Now, the letter reads, quote, as you know, we are conducting an investigation involving the CPS Board of Education and communications with the media. We understand you have information relevant to our investigation. If you're willing to talk to us, we would appreciate scheduling time to speak with you. Now, multiple sources on the board tell me President Hardin has threatened to, quote, force the resignation of any board member that he finds leaked information to me about a special public meeting the board scheduled the last week of December. Now, at this meeting, they voted to raise property taxes by the maximum amount allowed by state law. Sources say the board president has also sought to find the alleged leaker to another reporter who had reported on the search for a new CPS superintendent. Now, I reported a story about this meeting back in December, and according to sources, it caught the ire of Hardin, who then retained this law firm to conduct these investigations. And now comes as the board has been involved in a chaotic and delayed search for a new CPS superintendent. The search firm hired to lead that process also parted ways with the board over disagreements on candidates. Now, watchdog Austin Berg of the Chicago Policy Center, he's long been critical of Chicago Teachers Union and Mayor Johnson. He says he believes Hardin has gone too far, causing a culture.
Huh? Do y'all see it? Shall I keep going? Brandon Johnson is around here scrambling for jobs to raise money for what? Also, he has came from here. Why is there linking out information of an investigation when he promised you to get y'all right?
Of secrecy at the board and now running up against the First Amendment.
The mayor and the CTU should be calling on him to stop this investigation immediately. And they should be doing that for two reasons. One, it's a waste of taxpayer money at a time when the district is asking for more and more from taxpayers and it's borrowing more and more. And two, this is an attack on the free press. It is an attack on whistleblowers, and it's an attack on the First Amendment.
This investigation has been going on multiple months now. I did respond to the law firm that I would not participate in the investigation nor give them information on my own sources, but I did ask them how much they were charging the Board of Education, aka taxpayers, for this probe. I did not receive an answer on that, and the rest is up to our own legal folks here in this building.
So it's been interesting. This is happening so fast. Is there maybe a grudge that this is really all about? Because what do they hope to get out of it? And he made a good point. We're spending so much money right now. We're having so many issues to actually hire a law firm.
And then hiring.
Yet again, I don't mean to be on Chicago's case like this, but you're losing revenue. You're losing businesses. You're losing football teams. You're losing an education system. Your mayor is destroying where you guys live. And it's just every day, it just go viral on my main street because I didn't wake up and like, hey, I'm finna do my politics day. What are the main topics that are popping or streaming? This right here. But I'm gonna let them finish.
A new superintendent is a big issue, so they're spending a lot of time on this. He allegedly, according to sources, wants to find an alleged leaker and then, quote, force their resignation. Although by law, it doesn't appear that he has the ability to just force someone to resign from the board. There is this split on the board. The appointed members appointed by Mayor Johnson with Sean Hardin have been close to the CTU. They want more borrowing. Then there are the elected members who have been opposed to more borrowing, have been trying to put more of a fiscal restraint on the system. And
people that he has promised money. All right, man, I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna give you some money. I'm gonna do this with you, dog. I promise you, bro. I got you. Yeah. That's what they're talking about. It's amazing that what we be seeing on these damn news coverage. No, it's amazing that a mayor. I'm gonna go back real quick. I just seen something out. Damn. It's amazing that these mayors would go through some of the sacrifices and stuff. And dang, and like yet again, Illinois just got hit with a tornado. Drone footage shows Illinois homes diminished by a tornado. I'm gonna get into this other news that's very deep. To me that I'm covering of the fact I've been slipping on this. I apologize.
The shutdown of the Homeland Security Department, which is causing major disruptions at airports across the country. Today was slightly less of a headache for travelers. More than 2,000 U.S. flights were delayed, according to flight tracking site FlightAware. On Saturday, that number was nearly 10,000. Democrats are demanding reforms to the department's immigration enforcement policies and have offered to fund all non-immigration related agencies. But Republicans in the White House say the entire standoff just needs to end.
It is true that we are still far apart on the question of ICE. It is also true that there is no reason at all to hold TSA or the Coast Guard or FEMA hostage.
Call your Democrat member of Congress and tell them to fund the Department of Homeland Security. That's what President Trump wants to do, and it's completely ridiculous that the American people are suffering.
Let's bring in CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Skang. You have some new reports.
Yet again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this. I guess I'm going to just keep saying it. Y'all know Trump is not finna fund immigration. You know Trump is not finna fund immigration. So why do we keep playing these reindeer games with Trump about immigration, knowing that he's not going to budge? Oh, I'm mad at Trump, so I'm just going to shut it down. This going to teach Trump a lesson. No, he's not teaching the Trump a lesson. And then now I got to hear about it from my friends that, oh, he's just cutting jobs and people not working. No. We want to fund people that we voted for Trump to get the people out. That's why he's in office. That don't mean, okay, we put him in office, let's make it 4 times as hard for him to do what he needs to do because he's not doing things that's what I would like to say is unconstitutional. He's not being unconstitutional. Y'all killing me with this. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. But it's constitutional. If anything that he was doing was truly, truly unconstitutional, and the Supreme Court really did disagree upon that, they can hold that man in contempt. And y'all gonna say, no, they can't. And I'm gonna tell you, yes, they can. That's why the Supreme Court. That's why he always tells you in the news press conference, I'm just going to listen to whatever the Supreme Court says, and I'm going to do what the Supreme Court says I can do. Why? Because they can hold the president in contempt. I know the Democratic Party would love to hold Trump in contempt and all the mega people out there in contempt. We all probably need to get rounded up and locked up. But it's not going to happen.
Reporting on how the shutdown has affected airports. What are you learning?
Yeah, Lindsay, unscheduled absences among TSA officers have more than doubled nationwide since the beginning of this shutdown, according to exclusive data obtained by CBS News from TSA officials, with absences climbing in major hubs like New York, Houston, and Atlanta. Now, these internal TSA statistics show the nationwide call-out rate. Unscheduled absences by frontline officers has climbed to an average of more than 6% during the shutdown, compared with roughly 2% before DHS funding lapsed. And absences peaked at nearly 9% nationwide on February 23rd. At some airports, the staffing shortages have been even more severe. For instance, at Houston's Hobby Airport, 53% of officers called out on March 8th, leaving more than half of the scheduled workforce absent. And across the shutdown, several major airports have averaged double-digit absence rates. JFK in New York, Atlanta, New Orleans, and Pittsburgh. The agency is also tracking operational hotspots, incidents where TSA officials say staffing shortages actually threaten security checkpoint operations. Houston recorded 44, New Orleans 35, Atlanta 32 during the shutdown, and nationwide the highest single day total reached 87 hotspots just 2 days ago. Managers have had to consolidate checkpoints, reduce screening lanes, and all of this contributing to longer security lines.
So Tia,
all because we want to fund immigration. All because Trump is not going to do that. All because y'all want to stand up to the big bad bully, as y'all would like to call him. Two years and he's out. What is so hard of letting a person do what they do for 2 years? Vote your Democratic person in, win, and then y'all can make changes. You know what I think was wrong with that picture? You guys know that y'all are not going to win. Democrats know they're not going to win. I never heard the argument of we are going to win. I don't never hear that argument. Never. I'll be looking for that argument. I'll be wondering, like, when is that argument coming down? But you know what? I never hear it. This guy, this Democrat that I'm finna pick, this person out here that I'm finna choose is finna be my guy. I'm finna run with him, finna rock with him, finna do our thing. You don't never hear that. Amazing.
They says more than 300 workers have left. They've said, I've had it. So could we see more disruptions? Does this have any end?
Oh, yeah. And yeah, you expect people to probably want to quit being a TSA. People are probably going to look at that job and probably like, yeah, I'm not being that. They probably pay off good. They probably got good benefits. But it isn't worth having people dangle your job over your head. Blue collar jobs, construction workers, city jobs, even fast food restaurants are not affected by this. Only government jobs. I understand people like, oh, it's always good to work for the government. It's the best thing to work for the government. You should always, really? Really? Think about it. Just saying. Just want to point that out there.
Yeah. Lindsay, internal data shows TSA has lost 305 employees just between February 14th and March 9th. Departures officials warn are going to take months, if not years, to replace. Like after recruitment happens, training a new TSA officer typically takes 4 to 6 months before they can work independently at a checkpoint. Behind the scenes, DHS officials are warning that the longer this shutdown lasts, the greater the risk that more TSA officers quit, worsening staff shortages, turning this short-term crisis into something long-term. And all of this really points to an uphill battle for recruiting and retaining workers for one of the federal government's most visible frontline.
This is going to be one of the parts that's going to have the quickest AI turnaround probably in America. This is probably going to have one of the quickest turnarounds, flat out, straight up. You're not going to see too many people really out here want to come back to this after this is all. You're not going to probably put in a different pay rate for these guys to get it up. It's going to be a nice gap. So they're probably going to put robots, stronger pat down things. I know you stand there and the thing spins around, and if it's clear, it's clear. It's going to be a lot more of those. Is that good? I don't know. What's the outcome of it? I still don't know. But that's more leading. That is more is what this is heading to. And you hear it. 300 people is going to quit, not come back.
Security jobs. Former TSA Administrator John Pistole told CBS News that after the 2018-2019 shutdown, TSA lost nearly 1,100 of its officers who resigned because they had to have income and they weren't being paid. And that's really the fear here, that the number will tick up after workers start to miss more and more paychecks. Roughly 50,000 TSA frontline workers will miss their first full paycheck on Friday. And as you pointed out, there is no deal in sight on Capitol Hill. Lindsay.
Woo! I do know who this affects personally, and I do apologize to them personally, as you know. Talk to your constituents, talk to people you have voted for, get out there and get a deal done. Open the government. I don't know too much of what to say to that, but that, hey, yo, that's what's got to happen, y'all. I mean, we gotta open it up. We gotta get up here now. We gotta do it. Now, I love the CNN stuff, dog, because they're not talking about the real normals of the norm. They're talking about the little of the little. They want to talk about a small little speculation. Just because it's a bigger finger to point at Trump about it.
This video shows what experts. Tonight, more evidence that the U.S. was likely behind the strike on that school in Iran. Iranian media says that it killed at least 168 children and 14 teachers. This video shows what experts say is a U.S. Tomahawk missile striking an Iranian Navy base right next to that school. The same day, the school was struck. This weekend, President Trump insisted it was Iran who attacked the school. And today, he appeared to somewhat back off that claim, but he still suggested that it could have been Iran.
I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries. You know that. Whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a Tomahawk is very generic. It's sold to other countries. but that's being investigated right now.
You just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation, but Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got a quick meeting to get to. We're going to cover this, I promise you. And this is the Burn Live Show. We do politics on Friday. We do marijuanas on Monday. We get down with the business. Stay tuned where I'm coming to you. I just moved my times up to 3 o'clock, y'all. 3 o'clock Pacific, so 6 o'clock Eastern is the new time. I'm going to be putting that schedule out. I'm coming back. I promise you. Get at me. Peace.